welcome back for another amazing episode of the Pokemon Go Third Shield PvP podcast. Guys, today I have an amazing guest. Everybody should know his name, and if you don't know his name just yet, well, we have him right here. Arrohh is joining us today. Arrohh, welcome to the podcast.
Happy to be here. What's going on?
Well, firstly, what's going on is that you were able to already reach Legend this season. I think you were one of the first people that I saw reaching it. So I just want to congratulate you personally. And I want to just ask you real quick, how easy or hard was it for you?
The question was how I was able to reach Legend?
Yes, and how easy or how hard it was this season compared to... I really want to compare it to season 4, because I think season 4 was rough for lots of people.
Season 4, I had a lot of issue hitting Legend because of the fact, like, the elo shift just kept changing. It went from, like, a gain of 5, I think, per to, like, 10, and then it went up to 30. Like, it was kind of really wonky, and I didn't really like it. So I kind of struggled in season 4 because you would get rewarded huge for a 5-0, like I think 150 points, something like that, something crazy. And then, but you went 2-3 and you lost 60. Like it was very not friendly with elo based off of how your record did. But this season, like during Ultra, I was experimenting a lot with regular Ultra, and I ran Mew a lot. I was just having fun with Mew. I like playing the movesets. Last day of Ultra Premiere, last day of Ultra, I went into Ultra Premiere. I ran Dunebug's team that he hit Legend with, and we ended up like, I think we ended on a 14-1. Like we did crazy good. And then the next day it was Holiday Cup, and like I think from the 14-1 to when I hit Legend, I ended up going like out of 35 games, I won 30 of them. So it was just a tear on which I hit Legend with.
Man, that's amazing. Congratulations to that, because when I saw that you already hit it, I was like, oh crap, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was pretty happy because I think I was one of the first 10 Americans, I think 20 people in the world, somewhere in there, when I looked at the leaderboard the next day. But I finally beat Asian Milkman, so that's the real accomplishment there.
I know he was giving you a hard time at season 4 last season on the live stream. I was watching you guys a few times, which is very entertaining. If you guys haven't seen it, you definitely need to check out Arrohh and the Asian Milkman, because they stream together most of the nights.
Yeah, I really enjoy streaming with Milky, even if he gets under my skin a little bit.
I think that's what makes it even more entertaining, both of you just going back and forth. So, yeah. How did you... So let's go back a little bit. So how and when did you get started in Pokemon Go, and were you like looking into... As soon as it came out, like, were you all about PvP even though there was no such a thing and just hope for the future? Or you basically just got into the game because you had a love for the game or the actual cartoon?
So right at the start of like the game, I think if I look at my account here, hold on, that's loud. I think my start date was 2 days after launch, but in reality, it's really, I downloaded it at 3 a.m. On the 8th when it was launched on the 6th. So I really downloaded it the day after. And from there, I like everyone those first few days, we all went out, did crazy things, caught Pokemon in the streets. It was a 2016 was crazy for Pokemon Go, right? But slowly, like the game, I like got out of it a little bit. Ended up not really playing it from like late 2016 up until about summer of 18, right when I graduated high school. A friend group of mine, I remember actually it was before this summer, right? It was Bulbasaur Community Day that I remember really getting back into it. My first shiny caught was a Bulbasaur. And I didn't even realize it was shiny until like after the fact. of catching it, because back then they didn't have the little shiny indicator when you caught the Pokemon. And like a friend group got me back into it. They have since got out of it, and I've done a lot more than I ever thought I would with it.
That's awesome. It's funny you say that, because I think back in the day, even when the PvP first came out, I wasn't playing then, but I saw videos when you were basically just tapping like this instead of like doing the figures, right?
Yes, those were the fun days of PvP. I remember doing a Jungle Cup, which was the second to last cup of Season 1 in Sylph. I went down to Austin, Texas, back when Mason Valor-Ash lived in Austin still. It was his last tournament in Texas. And like right before the tournament, like that had passed through. So we're like, well, we gotta learn these quick. So I remember on the drive up, we had a group of about 6 that were just battling, practicing the new mechanics. It was really nice.
That's so funny. Most people don't know or understand that all the changes that it went through, even though it's clunky now, it's still changing, but slowly but surely it's changing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of different changes. I'm sure Niantic will work out the clunks eventually, but as a player base, we appreciate the fact that they are actually working on it at all.
Exactly. And then now let's get back to Sylph, since you brought us Sylph. So PvP, I mean, Go Battle League is brand new. I think it's just its first year anniversary, I think, right now, maybe in a few weeks. So the question is that I have for you is that, well, let's just go with Sylph Arena. So Sylph Arena is obviously newer, older than actual Go Battle League. So how did you find out about Sylph Arena, and how did you actually get into it? And are you obviously doing great in there? So we'll talk about that next.
So Sylph Season 1, I think, like, I enjoyed battling, and then I saw something on Twitter about Sylph and Boulder Cup. I was like, all right, so where do I go in my local community to find a Boulder Cup? I remember just like bugging, and there was one person in the Discord that had mentioned like he'll hold a tournament, and I just remember bugging like all the people that I actually considered friends in my community to go to the tournament, because I wanted to play in it and win it. I wanted it to have the 8 people it needed to be ranked. And so I think the Boulder Cup we had 13, and then come out, I won it. I was really happy. Went 4-0. And then the Twilight Cup we had, I think we ended up having like 6 or 7. So someone like used an alt account to make sure we had 8. But that was like, I was struggling to find tournaments at all in those first few days. So after the Twilight Cup, I found out about Go Stadium, in which like I joined a lobby, and that at least gave me a tournament each month that I didn't have to worry about my local. I remember going through Tempest, like we actually traveled to Killeen, did a tournament there, and then we did one. We actually got enough in Waco, which I was really happy about. And then I don't remember what was after Tempest right offhand, but I just remember doing a ton of remote tournaments with Go Stadium. I started traveling to Dallas, doing bigger tournaments up there. I didn't win them at first, but it was just getting a little bit more of a competitive edge.
So speaking of competitive edge, and two questions from that. Well, obviously, I think I already know the answer to this, but are you a collector, or you mainly all about PvP? Like, which one are you? What kind of a trainer? You are all.
I'm definitely more of a PvP player, but I do collect. Like, if I know the value of something rare and like Pokemon Go wise, like a shiny that, like the Pika Libre that just came out shiny. That thing is rare, and if I had that on my account, I'd feel pretty good about myself.
Oh, that's for sure. That's pretty hard to get.
Yeah,
the chances are very low. As far as for Sylph Arena, so right now Sylph Arena and Go Battle League, they are go head to head right now because of what's going on in the world. But how do you feel about Sylph? Are you still participating just as much as you did before, or now you're participating more in Go Battle League? Sylph
without in-persons, it's not as drawing to me. I remember I've been to, I think, every single 8-round tournament in America that has been held. And the first one, I was the first American to win an 8-rounder. So like the draw of an in-person large tournament, like it's very exciting to me. And like, I don't get that same feeling when I'm sitting at home in my chair, just doing battles for remote battles. Although I've won multiple of them, it's just not as exciting, and I really haven't put the same effort I put into Sylph that I put in season 1 and season 2 yet into season 3. I plan on trying to better myself and doing better in that, but time will tell if that actually occurs.
I do understand that, and funny you say that because everybody that I have talked to said basically the same thing about in-person tournaments versus sitting in your chair and waiting and setting up times when to battle and just waiting and setting up times and that kind of stuff. So I totally get it. But let's just jump right into this question because I'm pretty sure you will be an exciting person to talk about this. But as you know, Pokemon Go, the main developer for Go Battle League, leaked it or I should say announced it, that they are definitely going into esports.
Guys, I have breaking news. So Niantic just announced that they purchased a new company called Mayhem. And guys, Mayhem is a company that is very strong in esports, and right now they are actually hosting mainly for Overwatch tournaments and games, which, you know, means a lot for us. And here's very long story short, guys. So this company originally started basically its esports platform for players who are already esports athletes but want to get better, or players who want to be esports athletes. And it was like a coaching platform, which is ting 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 ting. As soon as I read that, I was like, man, this is great, because we're already doing that in the community of Pokemon Go. We already have this without even being esports, but now we're gonna have an actual platform for it. Well, possibly. That's what this company does. And then, last but not least, is pretty interesting, guys. So this company is actually, like I said, is a platform that creates the possibilities for esports games to host tournaments and to battle against each other and create better matchmaking systems. Ting, 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 isn't it what we need instead of Go Battle League, guys? To have better matchmaking systems, have better tournaments, have the capability to have different tournaments and all these unlimited possibilities like Overwatch has. Right? So this is good news no matter what. Let's go!
So, the question that I have for you, first of all, are you excited that if it goes to, or when it goes to esports, do you have any plans yet, or are you gonna pursue a career in esports?
I do plan on competing. If it goes into esports, I definitely want to compete. Like, no, there's nothing stopping me from doing that. I feel like I should be able to compete with just about anyone. I do hope that if they turn it into an esport, they do kind of take on a Sylph moniker of show 6, pick 3, because it's very random if you do not. But I like what they're doing with the cups. They're doing really good things, like giving players different cups to play. If they fix the game mechanics and the lag, they've got a gold mine, in my opinion.
Oh, that's for sure. I agree with you. And it's funny you say that too, because they're really not banking from Go Battle League just yet. But I think the reason why they're not doing that is because they know they have so much work to do, which, of course, they're working on, but there's still a little time.
For sure, for sure.
And as far as for seasons, so if you have to go back to Go Battle League seasons, which season would have been your favorite from preseason to all the way to season 6 now?
Man, that's a hard question. I have memories from every single season. Like, I've built a line in every single season that is defined hitting rank 10 for me. Rank 10 / Battle Legend. I don't know. This past season, like, I've had so much fun over the last week with Holiday Cup using Lit Leo, but I don't think it's my favorite season. I'm probably gonna go with season, was it 2? Season 2. I was struggling to like really move up at all on the leaderboards. I think this was the leaderboards were really season 1. You're right. But season 2, I was struggling to even reach up the leaderboard, and then I created this line. It was Tropius, Munchlax, Registeel. and like I'm sure you've seen the variant of Tropius Munchlax G-Fist, and so like I ended up just day after day climbing the leaderboard, and I ended up in the top 10 because of this line. And it was just such a derpy, like the Munchlax in the middle working so well. It was just so like, it was so fun to play, and I just had so much fun using it. So I'd probably say that experience of running that line up until I hit a high rank, and the fact that I've been able to bring that line back in multiple seasons and have success with it, with a variation of G-Fisk once G-Fisk came out, I think that would be my favorite season.
That team, I have seen it many times and different variations of it as well. And speaking of teams, is that your favorite team? If you would have to pick any league, any season, if you have to pick a team that not necessarily it's your best team because you got so many points with it, but maybe the best teams that you enjoy playing with would be a better option, what would that team be?
I can go by seasons and name every team, like my favorite team from each season.
Go ahead.
Preseason, I remember messing around at the end of preseason. I was running Furret, Galvantula, and Pidgey, just trying to get a win with Pidgey, right? Like, that's the most fun I've had playing in Battle League, just messing around with Pokemon like that. And sure enough, I remember going 2 and 3 in a set. Like, you're not supposed to do that. The Pidgey was 10 CP. But season 1, I ran Galvantula before it had lunge. Azu and Registeel, it pretty much, that's how I hit rank 10. Because you could hit rank 10 in Great League in season 1. Season 2 would be the Tropius line. Season 3, it would be my Ultra League line of Swampert, Lapras, Articuno. I had never really played Ultra League very seriously at all, but I ended up like really pushing the leaderboards with that line, and like it made me appreciate Ultra League a little bit more. Season 4, it would probably have to be the Tropius Munchlax G-Fist team, because it did carry me to rank 10. It was 10 back then. And then season 5, we had all those weird cups. I loved the little cup. I don't know why people didn't like it. I loved running Alolan Sandshrew in that cup. So Alolan Sandshrew, Seal, and Bronzer would have to be my favorite from that season. And then this season, it's got to be my Litleo team. Like, I love this little guy.
You definitely made Litleo famous, that's for sure. But I think until you have actually... I saw you use it once, and then the next day on Randoms People stream, everybody was recommending every streamer use Litleo because Arrohh you won with it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to use that Pokemon.
It's definitely the cutest Pokemon also.
100%.
Now, as far as for improving, so obviously you had a great run so far, and you've been going straight up just like this. So the question that I have for you is that, how do you get better day to day, or how did you learn maybe from your mistakes, or how do you think that helped you to become such a great and competitive player in Pokemon Go, and how did that translate to a new player who maybe starts out, just so they can get like an idea what it took you to get where you are?
Well, I think part of this, like, if you go into my account and you look at my Great League badge, I think it's upwards of 9,200 wins. So that equals out to about probably 20,000 different battles. I wouldn't say I've won every single battle I've done, because you technically win more, in my opinion, when you lose. In practice, not the actual game, but you win more when you lose because you're learning. And I remember back in like season 2 of Sylph, I think every time that a new cup got announced, I would play 50 games that night of that cup. And it was just a pretty much a test run, see what's good, see what every Pokemon can take. I don't do this anymore, and I probably should get back to doing it. But if you really want to learn how to play Go Battle League, it's so easy to get people to battle now. All you have to do is add someone and just start battling. Like it's not as hard as it used to be. You didn't have to wait 30 days to get Ultra Friends. So there's plenty of Discords, plenty of Reddits that you can get on to get access to a battle friend, like to find friends to battle. And you do that, you put in a lot of practice, you start learning move counts, you start learning how much each move does to each Pokemon. Know your typings is the most important thing. And you'll really see your gameplay improve with more experience. But if you want to, like, it's not easy, but it's possible to improve without the experience. Watch others, watch streams. There's plenty of streamers out there that you can learn a lot from, and that's how you can improve.
That was gold. Everything that you said needs to be framed, because I just want to point out something to everybody who's listening right now or watching. That what you mentioned about, first of all, for about 20,000 battles, right, in a Great League. Now that's one. Second, let's talk about all the practice, right, that you have done. And then second, to when a new Silp meta came out, you would practice 50 matches for that meta to prepare. That's a lot. So the reason when I point this out is because so many people go onto your stream or go onto somebody else's stream, doesn't matter, somebody who is great with the team that they use. And then so many players, including myself when I first started out, would copy, you know, that team, and I'm like, all right, Arroh won with this team and winning and had like a 15 win streak, or you just mentioned like you had like 30 and 25 wins or something like that. So then all of a sudden you try it and you suck at it, right? But that's because what they don't have is what you just mentioned. So I just wanted to point that out for everybody, that practice and the hard work you put in is a lot of it. It's not the team, it's you.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I try to mention whenever I like am streaming that the teams I make are high skill gap, and it's very hard to explain high skill gap because some people can just pick them up and run them, but it's the little things like catching charge moves, flipping. There's so many different matchups that with some teams that I've played, I just know like how to win the game. Based off lead, I have a prediction for what's in the back. Like I can identify different lines because there's many lines in this game that are very popular, and you can identify them and be able to attack them at their weakness. So like it's just knowledge of overall meta plus like how to play your team. So that's why whenever I am like first talking to someone like about coach, because I coach people as well. I'm first talking to someone about coaching them. I'm like, okay, so what we're gonna do? We're gonna pick a team based off what you have. We're gonna figure out how to run it. But whenever we finish today, I don't want you to go back to something new. I want you to, even if this doesn't work after the coaching session, play through it. Try to continue to figure out win cons for every single scenario. Because even the worst possible scenario, you can get hard countered through all three Pokemon. Lead, switch, and then closer. You can still win that game. Their energy management is huge. And if you know how to maneuver your matchups and catch charge moves, stuff like that's possible.
Yeah, I remember that when I started out very first, and I think maybe it was you that I was watching, and I was like just basically blown away when you said something like, all right, he definitely has a Register in the back, and it had a Register in the back. And then I watched another battle and you said, oh, he definitely has a Stunfisk in the back, or whatever it was. And I was like, how the hell does he know that? Because I was new to battle, so I had no idea how the prediction work and how the team balancing and everything works out, and I didn't know teams. So what you're mentioning makes perfect sense, especially for new players who are starting out, because I had no idea what to predict, what somebody has in the back. So right there when I saw that, I was just freaked out that how the hell somebody would know what's in the back, if that makes sense.
For sure.
So
it just took a lot of meta analysis, and if you watch other people, you can pick up on tendencies.
Yeah, for sure. And then so the other thing is, since we talked about this as well, so counting. I meet with so many people on podcasts that some people are like, yes, you must count if you want to be winning. Now, some people are like, oh no, I just have a good feeling for it. So I don't want to down talk those people, of course, who don't count and they say they just feel it. But in your opinion, or I should say in your experience, what would you recommend to people, and how do you feel about counting versus feeling?
There are some okay, I'll be completely honest with you right here. there are some Pokemon I 100% count every time. Because I personally need that knowledge for later. And then there's some Pokemon I play by feel. Because there's the way you play certain Pokemon, it's going to be a matter of, and it depends on the player you're playing. If you know the skill level of the player you're playing, if you play by feel, it's a lot better because those good players are going to overcharge on purpose. Like it's just a matter of knowing when you need to do what. But if you count, you can also play by feel. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And it's just so funny you said that too, because I think on season 4, you even mentioned it on Twitter, and I think I commented back and agreed with you 100%, is that when you were like in a bubble of a skill level versus where your skill level is, and you have to upplay or downplay. And I think you were right in a bubble at the bottom at that time, and you were not used to it because you would expect the opponent to do a certain thing, and they didn't do it because they don't have the skill level that you used to play with, so it throw you off your games, right?
Yes, 100%. It was season 4. I remember this tweet. I was stuck in the 2600s, and I was just like, "What am I doing? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm calling out stuff. Like, people are supposed to have this, but like, didn't make sense to me. Like the way people were playing, they were playing really unbalanced teams. Like, it was just it was a whole mess of stuff in the 2600s back then, and you never really knew what you were gonna get. So yeah, stuff like that, like skill level really affects play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I called it the pit. Nothing bad against any players or anybody who is there, but I call it the pit because, just like you said, you never know what you're going to face, from team balancing to leads to skill to whatsoever. It was just all over.
For sure. It was back then. It was very frustrating.
I can totally see that. Now, as far as for grinding, so obviously you need lots of Stardust for Silver Arena, for Go Battle League. So what I want to ask you is, do you have like a daily grind routine for Stardust, or maybe like you keep booking or bookkeeping or something like that for how much you spend, how much you earn, or any secrets or any routines that you have for basically just Stardust hustle?
Well, up until recently, I couldn't really, like, there was a fuse out in my car to where I couldn't charge my phone when I was like grinding. So I finally fixed that. So I wouldn't go out and grind really because like my phone would die. But I don't really grind a lot. I get my dust every day from Go Battle League, and from that I spend it. I catch stuff at home. I go really hard on triple dust days. I don't really like. I make the joke a lot on my stream that I don't really play this game. But I do play this game. I still love it's not as fun to me whenever I'm grinding alone, so that's another thing. But I do love playing this game, and I do enjoy grinding whenever I have a group to grind with.
I just love what you said, that you didn't go out because your battery would die. So you know that means that you are your grinding versus a new player's grinding is probably entirely different. So that's what I wanted to point out, because maybe somebody's listening to the podcast and they're like, what do you mean your phone died? How long are you grinding? Or what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Because some people are like, oh, that means like all day or something.
Oh, it means all day, all night. It's for me, I prefer to like grind at night because parking lots are empty. That's where the Pokemon spawn, and you can just roll. Like, I will literally just very slowly roll around the parking lot catching. I got one hand on the wheel, the other is just quick catching everything.
I'm so happy you said that. I want to mention this because FP Sticks is doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing. And what it is especially a empty parking lot of a movie theater is, in my opinion, if it has a Starbucks and it has an empty parking lot and it has a movie theater on the same area, that's like the most packed Pokemon area where they spawn and they have everything what you need to grind. Yeah. It's so funny. Anyways, coming back. So, you're getting obviously your dust, you said, as you mentioned, mainly now from Go Battle League. So the other thing that I have, Go Battle League. So is that, you think, your main focus now because of what's going on with Silp? And would you hope for Go Battle League to eventually, which I think you already answered, but let's talk about it a little bit deeper. Would you hope for Go Battle League to develop into something like Silp Arena? And if yes, what would it look like? Like, how would you picture this?
This is tough because like I don't want, like, I appreciate Silph for everything they do, but if Niantic gets the backing, if Niantic backs this player base, and gives us a Silph-esque format, I think it would be beneficial for the player base to move over to that and keep Silph as like a fun thing to do, because Niantic's the one that can back it as an esport. Silph is ran by a bunch of really good people, but it also doesn't have the funding that Niantic does. Niantic is $1 billion company. So I do not really know what it would look like. I would hope it would kind of mirror the image of at GoFest. We have 1,000 entries into a tournament, or maybe you qualified somehow prior to that, but we know this going into each year, so we can make sure we qualify for the GoFest tournament. And it'd be a huge event streamed to like thousands of people, and I think it'd be really cool that way. There's just so much they can do. It's a game on your phone. You can play anyone in the world at any time. There's so much you can do with this. It's just a matter of doing it with Niantic's part. So I don't really know what it would look like, but I do think that it would be very, very nice.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we are missing, we're missing lots of things, but one thing would be actually nice is if they would have like, so we have, let's say, we understand we have 25 battles a day. That's what we can do, 5 sets. But it would be nice if maybe only if you completed your sets at least, but 25, you have the option to queue in for
practice.
Yeah, there we go. Practice battles. That does not do anything for you. You know what I mean? Just practice, literally.
I think I don't know if it's server issues, but I don't see why they haven't added it. I know it's been something that has been asked for since preseason. But it would be very beneficial to the player base as a whole, because one, people are scared to really jump into competitive play right off the bat. Like I've played just sitting with my friends, I've played their accounts at rank 1, and people don't know what they're doing in rank 1. It's just like to learn in practice mode is something that would be beneficial to the player base as a whole, as like, wait, that person's using that Pokemon. Maybe I shouldn't use this 1300 CP Jolteon. Like, stuff like that. As well as, like, give us that practice mode, and a lot of players will find a reason to get into it.
No, that would be perfect, and I really think it's coming, you know. What I'm thinking, maybe what's gonna happen is that when we get, let's say, esports or these tournaments or the actual ranking, meaning it will mean something and you have a pool of money or a pool of prizes or whatever it is that they're gonna come up with at first for esports, and then we're gonna have like the OG Go Battle League, as in like the unranked matches finally. Because I don't think it would make no sense, and you already said this too. I think it would make no sense that everybody goes into the same pool, and like it or not, you're ranked now.
Yeah.
So as far as for favorite Pokemon, if not necessarily Go Battle League or Battling or Silph or anything, just your favorite Pokemon. If you would have to name, what would be your favorite Pokemon and why?
Okay. I can tell you my favorite Pokemon as a kid and how it has since changed. As a kid, like, I grew up, the only Pokemon game I ever really got to play was Pokemon Pearl, back in Gen 4, and I loved my Pachirisu. Like, it just destroyed things. It was level like 95. I never got it to 100. I lost the game before I got it to 100. But like, I really wish Pachirisu was better, and I could actually get a good one because they are regional confined. The only time I got them was GoFest 2018, 19, whatever year it was. But it has since changed to my good friend Munchlax, who sits with me every stream.
That's awesome. I love how you like brought it up as the beginning Pokemon that you started with, and now it's switched to Munchlax. And as far as for next seasons, so obviously this season is not over yet. I think we're at the halfway point. But
we're not even at the halfway.
I know, right? And you already reached a legend, so now it's like, all right, well, I guess it's leaderboard only now.
Well, tomorrow, that's funny you say that, because tomorrow is the return of Great League in all 3 leagues for a week, right? And I hit legend. I know I can make a leaderboard push at whatever point in the season that I really want to. So I'm gonna try to do some fun things this week. And I think tomorrow I'm going to do a GBL Nuzlocke, which, if you aren't familiar with the format, it's going to be, my whole Great League Pokemon are all available at the start, but every time one faints, I'm not allowed to use it again. So that'll be 25 battles of that, and I want to see how good my record can be, because I should be going into that around the 2900s. So let's see how we can do with that restriction. That
sounds like a lot of fun. Where could people actually watch that? If they would want to tune in and watch you guys, where could they tune in and watch you, and when?
They can tune in on twitch.tv/Arrohh_. That's 2 R's, 2 H's. I stream on Twitch. I'm working. I want to get back into YouTube, but it's very, the videos don't do as well as the Twitch streams, so it's kind of disheartening. But I do plan on pushing myself into getting back into YouTube.
Awesome. Well, we definitely look forward to that as well. And as far as for schedule, when do you guys usually stream? So everybody knows here.
I stream about every weekday night, except for Thursday. My stream schedule is always going to be on my Twitter, which is @thearrow. But I stream pretty much every night around 7 Eastern. It might start at 7:30, 7:15. There's no real set time. We prefer I like to go live at 7 Eastern, but, life gets in the way sometimes. But every night that time, I do something. I'm starting up ADL Season 3 here in about 4 weeks. So that'll be every Sunday around 3 o'clock Eastern. It's just a lot. My channel's not always consistent on time, but it's always consistent on content.
And it's on Twitter either way. You update it on
Yes.
Twitter, so most people should just get on Twitter and get in touch with you, and then they can see you when you go live.
For sure.
And as far as for future, since we just reached 2021, Happy New Year, everybody, and to you, Arroh. And then what I want to ask you is, do you have any specific goals in streaming, YouTube? You mentioned YouTube. Video or anything whatsoever for 2021 that maybe the audience can help you reach it?
Well, the one goal I put on myself for Twitch was I wanted to reach 20,000 followers on Twitch this year. And I want to be consistent with putting out content as well. But I looked at Social Blade and it said that wouldn't happen for 2.5 more years. So that puts me even more, it's a drive to prove that prediction wrong. So that's the goal for 2021 is to hit 20,000 on Twitch, because I think it's possible.
And here's the thing, it's a great goal. It's a 10x goal basically, and everybody loves those goals because it's kind of unreachable, but it's reachable at the same time, and you're gonna push harder. And even if you fail, you're gonna be way closer to the 20,000 than if your goal was 10,000. You know what I mean?
For sure, for sure.
And lastly, also with you never know, because if or when Pokemon Go goes esports or just starts playing these tournaments that we had that invitation only in DC with King Ivy and Poke AK, for example. So once those are back on track and Pokemon Go is cruising forward, I think your viewership would triple, because then way more people will get introduced to Pokemon Go. And I always say this to everybody, that right now, unfortunately, Pokemon advertises with "you gotta catch them all." They don't advertise with Go Battle League. They advertise with "you gotta catch them all." You know what I mean? A collector's game.
For sure. Another thing about like you mentioned the King Poke AK event. Like I know Pokemon Go wants to do more of those. Like I've seen it on Twitter. Like they enjoyed that event. Niantic, like this game that we play, I think it's one of the largest player bases in the world. It might be the largest. Everyone, like you mentioned Pokemon Go, there's not a single person in the United States, unless you lived under a rock, that hasn't heard it before. Maybe unless they were just born yesterday. Like you've heard of Pokemon Go, and the player base is astoundingly huge. So like the battlers in the community is a small percentage of that player base, maybe less than 1%. It's just gonna grow. Like the growth is just gonna keep happening. You're not gonna lose. Like if you lose people, you're gonna gain 5 more. That's another thing I think we're gonna see coming.
No, that's a huge that you mentioned it. And right now in the community, and those numbers that you mentioned is actually about right. It's about 1%, unfortunately. And I know it might sound horrible or unbelievable to some of the listeners and viewers right now, but if you just literally Google it, the player base of Pokemon Go, it will show up, and it's around 160 million. So if you look up Fortnite, Pokemon is winning still. And if you Google the most opened apps on phones on the United States, and actually in the world, I think I have to double check this, I will link it in below the results, but it says the second most opened, and sometimes first, depends when you look at it, app in the world is actually Pokemon Go. Not unique opens, because it's the same people opening it up daily, like 1,000 times. If you play, you know what I mean. But it gets opened up more times than Facebook by a same user.
Yes. Like another thing with that, like Pokemon Go, I think on the App Store is listed as a lifestyle app, and that is the case. That's one. Like it's so true. It's not just a game; it's a lifestyle. It completely changes the way you do things.
Oh yeah, I have routines. How I go to grocery store, while I'm going to that one. It changes my whole life actually.
Yeah, and that's something I don't think people realize, like when they try to get into it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then last, I just want to add one more thing, because you did a really good job with this, bringing it up. And as far as the player base and how small it is, so just imagine when it goes esports, and imagine when there will be education on Go Battle League, which they're already doing, by the way. They use King IV for these educational videos. They're trying to introduce Go Battle League, because what I think they realized, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what they realized that mainly right now the player base is players who actually know how to play, or they have some experience. And when you, let's say, a reset starts, then a new player comes in who never played in their life, they're gonna think that you are a cheater, like Arroh, or even me. They think we are cheating because we won, like, let's say, so easily to a person who just started today. So that's really not working out, and I think they're trying to fix that right now.
Yeah, I think giving there's crash courses sure on YouTube, but no one goes straight to YouTube whenever they're getting into something new. They just, like, the human mind, you want to just jump right in. So I think giving directly from Niantic a crash course is huge for the player base as a whole.
All right, Arroh, I know you're busy and you're gonna stream tonight, so what I wanted to bring up real quick is there anything else that you would want to mention or say? And actually, before I ask that, I have one more question for you. What I want to ask you is if you would go back in time when the PvP first came out, and you just downloaded it, or you were able to jump into Go Battle League or just Silph Arena, what would be like a one thing that you would tell yourself back in the day that you know today to do, like to get better at PvP? Like, you know what I mean? Like back in the day when you just started, you didn't know so many things. What do you think, what would be just one thing that would change the course of how good or bad you are at PvP back then?
Check IVs. I don't even want to know how many good IV PvP Pokemon I've deleted. Like, I'm sure it's very high. I know that's probably not the answer you wanted, but like that is definitely something I would tell myself.
No, that's totally perfect, because everybody has a different answer and different the results, because what they made as a big mistake, for example. And as far as for anything else that you would like to share to any of the listeners or anybody in the world, what would that be? Or do you have anything else to say before we wrap this up?
Don't be afraid to ask for help in PvP. If you go on Twitch and look at the Pokemon Go category, any day, at any point in time during the day, there is a streamer live that has probably about 80 plus viewers. That is going to be the most knowledgeable streamer on at the time, most likely. Go in their chat, and just start having a conversation. It's not going to be hostile. It's not like they will, as long as they're looking at chat, they'll respond, and they will, like, if you ask genuinely, they'll give you help. You can learn a lot from watching people battle that way as well. It's just there's so much avenue to learn. I recommend Twitch. There's also YouTube. I know you're very into the YouTube scene, Daniel, but Twitch is just, it's so easy to learn live, in my opinion.
That's a really good point, and I can just add to it that this community, the Pokemon Go Battle League community, guys, is way different than your other video games that you would see with all the bad mouthing and all the crap that's going on in the chat. Of course, you might see just a very, very little of that here. This community is so different. I never been part of any of this, and I'm pretty sure you agree with me, Arroh.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's just crazy. So make sure to do what just Arroh said, because it's gonna make a difference for you for sure. So Arroh, first of all, again, thank you so much for being here today. And before we wrap this up, one more time, where could people find you, and when they should find you? I know you just said different times, but what would the number one place they could just get in touch with you?
Twitter, at the Arroh, and twitch.tv/Arroh_, 2 R's, 2 H's. 7 Eastern is the aiming point for every weeknight, as well as Twitter. Like, if you DM me, I'll see it. Don't flood my DMs, but I don't spam me, but I'll see it. And if I feel like responding, like in that moment in time, I will, most likely. But yeah, Twitter and Twitch are my main avenues at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem, man. But thanks for having me.